Oh, one more minute, okay. Yeah, how you doing at 3 o'clock on a day of 10 speakers? Wow. It's, I know, it is a marathon. It's like trick or treat, you know? You go and you collect all of this candy, you go knocking on all these different doors and get these different perspectives, and you collect all this candy, and afterwards, you eat it all up, and you're like, what did I do? And over time, your body assimilates it, processes it, and as Gloria Holt just beautifully pointed out, makes you as sweet as can be. All right, so transforming your biblical demons. So when I was teaching, or I still do, when I teach SEE or when I teach a class, when I do it live, I have a class angel. Remember our class angels? Who's ever been a class angel in one of the classes? Yep. Or had class angels who helped with handouts and things. Well, I brought my class demons. And I want to introduce you to Gog and Magog here. And they each have their purpose. Gog is the keeper of the flame. And Magog is bringing the perspective of a little spirit. Little spirit, okay. And when I was a child, at Halloween we got a great big cardboard skeleton. This was back in the 60s. They didn't have them the way they do now, the three-dimensional plastic ones that they had. But we got a great big cardboard skeleton and hung it on our door, and we named it after Joe Cartwright on Bonanza. And so we just named it Joe. And then when I grew up a little more and I was in college, I hung a smaller cardboard skeleton on my dorm room door, and I called it Little Joe, which was still in line with Bonanza. And this is Little Joe. And Little Joe has a few words for us.
Okay, go off your mountain. I'm here, and I can't feel my legs.
Okay. So he might, thank you for sharing. So the typical demonic state there, you're not quite all together. But anyway, they just, by their very presence, they're helping us with the class and here to get a little transformation themselves. And, what's that? Oh yes, okay. So he's saying, since I have no class angels, God here is saying, since I have no class angels, I can ask for a couple of volunteer class angels.
Say, would you happen to have some spare ribs?
Yes, he's our humorist. He's the humorist. I'm the straight person here, although you wouldn't know that. Okay. So, transforming your biblical demons. And we are going to look at what those biblical demons are today. Oh, God reminds me, please do not look ahead on your sheets. Ahead. Please do not look ahead on your sheets. Okay. All right. Otherwise, it would kind of spoil the effect of the slideshow. All right. Very good. Very good. So if we're ready to begin, just for those of you who don't know me, I'm a third-generation unity minister. I'm Barrett, Bennett. Served 2 churches as a senior minister, former chair of biblical studies and skills for Unity School for Religious Studies, as many of you know, and I know you, and love you. And I couldn't be more thrilled. I'm sitting back there. Sometimes I tear up just listening to you. Because Who you are amazes. Just amazes. And those of you I am just getting to know. Oh, I can hardly wait to know you even more. And I'm an online instructor for Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute, founding minister of Unity Wisdom Academy. That is my alternative educational ministry. Thank you, Eleanor, for working. And we have several ministers of alternative ministries. And this is my contact information. Laura at metagetics.com. Also Laura at laurabennett.com works. If you want to know any more, or want any more outlines or anything like that from today's presentation, that's where we go. And what is metagetics? Coming in 2017, the language of God, metagetics, and the Bible. And metagetics is it's the next thing in metaphysics. It's metaphysical exegesis expanded into that powerful transformational process. What Sherry was talking about earlier, being on fire. And it moves metagetics, it takes metagetics and makes metaphysics what it's meant to be by lighting up that fire, as we've seen in each of our speakers today, haven't we? Yes. Haven't we been blessed? Yes. Yes. And we will continue to be blessed. Okay, Joe. Yes, okay, Joe, you can meditate now.
Right place. Everyone's dying to be here.
Another enthusiast. Okay.
I'm hired.
All right. So, as we do in unity, and as the prayerful state of consciousness has been pointed out by our beautiful speakers as being so important, let's take a deep breath. And know the truth of this statement. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways, to guard you and to guide you. And whatever we believe angels to be, if we believe them to be entities of light that surround us, they also infill us, because all things in our universe are projections of our inner being. And so our angels are our higher thoughts. They are our raised consciousness, our consciousness that connects in perfect unity. The Spirit of God, the Christ. Yeah. And so all that we have on our plate, everything that we put aside to be here, all the things that we did to make it here, to travel, all of that, we give thanks for. And all that stuff we have on our plate, we just put that plate aside right now, knowing that it will be waiting for us so that we can unfold in what we do in the perfect way and the perfect time. Because the angels of our consciousness are our guide and our guards. For this truth, we say thank you, God, together.
Thank you, God.
So it is in the name and after the nature of the Christ. So you see how angels show up here? In nature. Especially. Right. Well, what are angels? Let's look at angels first. Okay, Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, angels from the Hebrew malach. Messengers. Simple. An angel is a messenger, brings a message, a divine awakening, a divine idea, as we call it. And from Greek, ahelo and angelos, and messengers. And in Arabic, lir is the plural term, which means awake, watchers. And this term was used for example, in the story of Daniel in the lion's den in the Hebrew Scriptures. You know that song? Anybody know that song? Where he cried, "Oh, Daniel, Daniel." I need a whole choir to sing that. Daniel, Daniel, oh, that Hebrew Daniel, servant of God. Angel, from the revealing word. A spiritual idea direct from the fountainhead. A spiritual idea direct from the fountainhead. And the word of truth. So not just an idea, but the expression of that idea through the power of the word of truth in which is centered the power of God to overcome all limited beliefs and conditions. There is our message, our messenger, the spiritual idea, and our guardian, the expression of that spiritual idea, the power of the word. There's the angel and the peaceable lion. Right. So what angels have you encountered in your life and or world? So angels can be something that inspired you in the moment, someone, something. They can be some idea that you had. What angels have you encountered in your life or your world? Think of it. Take a deep breath. Think of your angels. We had a couple of angels just now passing out our goodies. I have an angel. She's a cat who showed up at Unity Village many years ago when I was teaching SEE there, and I was doing the daily word for that week, opening the week, and it was not an SEE week, it was a CEP week. And my cat had just died the night before. And so I'm sharing about this cat because this cat was my meditation cat. He was a very, very special cat. When the other cat got sick, they died 3 months apart, my two cats. When the other cat got sick, I came home and I said, Weber was his name after Andrew Lloyd Webber. I said, Weber, we have to pray for Ezekiel. My other cat was named after a prophet. Ezekiel, there you go. There you go, Elijah, Ezekiel. I said, we have to pray for Ezekiel. And I thought, well, that's silly. Cats don't pray. And I went into the kitchen and was washing the dishes, and I heard this, Mom, Mom. And I went into our little meditation corner that we had, and Weber was sitting in front of the prayer altar. Hello. Hello. And he watched after Ezekiel. Ezekiel had a very aggressive form of cancer. And he watched after Ezekiel for the weeks that Ezekiel lived. And then Weber himself started to decline after Ezekiel had passed. And he was 19 years old when he passed. And it was a very peaceful passing. He had that breath of spirit. And I spent his last day with him, which was a Sunday. And that night at about 11 o'clock, he just took that final breath. And he even stretched his paws out and went, and he was gone. angels in our lives that visit our lives. Now, the next day, as I was telling this same story to the people in CEP that day, in silent unity, this small stray cat walks in and starts talking to everybody. And she followed everybody back to the education building. And people were saying, oh, this is Laura's cat. This is Laura's cat. So they kept her while I taught classes that morning. And then when we were done, they showed her to me. Of course, when you lose something, it's like you're not into a new one. So I said, well, okay, I'll take her home. I don't know. Anyway, I called my husband, and my husband had heard me say the night before, no new cats. And I called him and I said, Larry, you found a cat. Yeah, she found me. And Anna has been with me now for 13 years, 14. She was almost a year old at that point in time. She's now 14 years old and she curls up on my desk. She has her own pillow on my desk. And she is my office angel now. So what angels do you have in your life? Anybody just say it out if you have an angel in your life.
2 Boston Terriers.
2 Boston Terriers, yes.
Mary and Natasha. Mary and Natasha.
Ah, that's wonderful.
They're not cats, they're girls.
Oh, Mary and Natasha, wonderful.
I have an angel that's here. Her name is Patricia Newman.
Patricia. See, isn't it amazing? We're all angels, aren't we? Who was it that was saying that? Did Charles Silver say that? Oh, really? How about that?
I'll share one quick story. Angels, speaking Marcy and I were renting our rental car at the airport. He was talking about the different weathers. I can't think of tornado warning or whatever. So, back when the Joplin tornado hit, I was a speaker down in Joplin. Wow. And I woke up that morning and I had this fear and dread going down. I was going to call Francie Potter, my classmate, saying, hey, Francie, would you drive out 2 hours and speak for me? And I was feeling really frightened. So I drove down there, gave the talk, and this little voice said, you need to be happy here. So I drive back. We're down in Kansas City about 5:45. And Margie says, honey, on Facebook, they just said a tornado went through and it ripped off the church down to the slab. When I had been there earlier, I just get these, this is the first time I ever had that fear and dread feeling of going somewhere. So something was speaking to me. So Margie said, honey, if we got that again, make sure you tell me. I'm relating this to this guy, and he's, you should Google the butterfly people. Supposedly there's these kids that seen these people that were, as this tornado was coming through Joplin, that these butterfly people protected them from the tornado. If you Google butterfly people in Joplin, it'll talk about these 2 stories about there could have been angels doing with these butterfly people.
How amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Who's had experiences like that? Glenn.
Not quite like that, but a good story for you about an angel. When I was flying a lot for the association of the churches, one of the places I went to frequently was London, England. And I was speaking in the church in London, not in the North City where they had their offices. And I was talking about angels, discussing it right out of the Bible. And after the service, the organist came over and said, I'm going to tell you something about an angel. And I said, of course. And so she said, when my oldest daughter was 3 years old, and my new baby was about 9 months old, and in a passing bed, she said, I came downstairs one day, and they were in the living room, and the baby was in the bassinet in the living room. And she said, as I was coming downstairs, I heard my daughter
powerful, powerful stories out there. Take a moment, find someone next to you. If you're at a table of three, that's fine. Share, just, I'll tell you when to switch. If you're table of three, I've timed these things before, so, just share an angel story with someone. Just for a moment, share an angel story.
4 months ago, I was on an airplane,
Let's get present to
and I had a coupon for a free drink. And I handed it to the flight attendant, and she said, "Sir, this is expired." The woman, it was about a 30-year-old woman in the seat behind me. And all of a sudden, there's this hand that comes over my shoulder with a ticket. Total stranger, 30-year-old gal, buying a drink, 62-year-old guy. And I just punched him, just because of the anonymous kindness.
Yeah,
Finish up with what you're talking about. And your time is switching.
That's my story.
I witness angels more than being a recipient, because the population I work with is women in the city, and women that don't that are struggling, and I see one of them, they say, I'm out of formula for my baby, and it was together with someone else, and giving them their last whatever, and putting out, I'm not a food, but I have a potato, and I'm on one of their groups, and someone says, I've got some, and they just are not just there for me, but they're ministers and organizers in ways that they need that. Also, just ask. If I need somebody rises up to it, it's like I see that so often.
There's someone who has a share.
You don't have much. That's when the vested people come out.
15 seconds left.
Thank you.
Your partners for sharing, and if you want to connect on the break and share some more, feel free to do that. And bring your attention back up to little Joe here. Waiting to get your attention. Yeah. Okay, good. And we all have angel stories. One kind or another. You cannot have the, and doesn't have to be something supernatural. Certainly what happened with my kitty, well, it had supernatural elements in it, but my cat's a very natural being. I guarantee it. I heard their lives every day. Okay, and now introducing, are you ready? Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Deep
Are
breath.
you ready get wicked? All right, let's get wicked. Take a deep breath. Demons. Woo. All right, from Hebrew, shadim, meaning malignant. Malevolent. Also referred to as devils. From Hebrew, also Sair, depending on the context. For example, in Deuteronomy, the people are told not to do those sacrifices to those he-goat gods. So Sair, he-goat, shaggy, satyr, goat demon. There you go. Have a nice image one there. All right. And from Greek, daimon, deity, lesser god. Know you not that you are gods. Guiding spirit. So, what started out as a guiding spirit becomes a malevolent influence, perhaps? From Aramaic, Sadu said, look at that, protective spirits, guardians, like angels. What's that about? Demons in the Hebrew Bible, the priest shall dash the blood against the altar of the Lord, so that they may no longer offer sacrifices to the goat demons. Oh, from Leviticus, I'm sorry, not Deuteronomy. From Leviticus. The priest shall dash the blood against the altar of the Lord, so that they no longer offer sacrifices to the goat demons. And you may remember the story of the Day of Atonement in Leviticus, where they took the sins of Israel and they put them on the head of a goat. And they sent the goat out into the wilderness, in the sense giving it to Azazel, it says, the god of the desert, and the desert heat for purification. And the lucky goat got killed. They had two goats. And was sacrificed to God. Now, this was an attempt. There's an attempt. You shall dash the blood against the altar of the Lord. What does that mean? It's not, the animal sacrifices were very common. But what they're doing, actually, is they're telling them, bring them to the altar of the Lord, bring them to the tent of the tabernacle. So the Hebrew religion is starting to become centralized. But if you do it out there somewhere in your own way, you might not be doing it right. So watch out for that. And in Deuteronomy, there's even the accusation. They sacrificed to demons they had never known. So that's the danger you can get in unless you bring it to the tabernacle, unless you centralize the religion, where the priests have some control over the religion and have some order. Wow. So here we are in a spiritual movement, right? Here we are in a spiritual movement where actually we have tried to centralize our teachings a number of times. And we keep coming, we keep fighting, we keep bumping up against the wall of, no, we can't really say this is unity, this is not unity, without crystallizing into a form of dogma. And yet, this is how many religions in their early life felt it was necessary to survive as a religion. So the priestly writers wrote, they wrote back into the Torah from a time ahead, looking back, and they wrote these in as an explanation of why the religion had become so centralized. And also one of the things they started doing was poo-pooing the gods of the other religions, not just Yahweh saying, I'm the Lord your God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you shall have no other gods before me, but actually demonizing, if you will, these other gods. So those poor goats. But by golly, but that's what we're here for, aren't we? We're here to transform. We're here to redeem the demons, all right? Yeah. Yeah, demons in the New Testament. One of the biblical demons we may have is the concept of an Old Testament God versus a New Testament God. Well, let me tell you, God was pretty rough in both Testaments, depending on where you look. And God was pretty loving in both Testaments, depending on where you look. The demons begged him, if you cast us out, send us into the herd of swine. Now, what kind of compassion is that? And yet the swine were considered the lowly animals. And this is actually the demons themselves seeking, how can I say it? Being repentant. Being repentant. Because they knew that they would be destroyed if they embodied in the swine, and the swine would go with them, the dirty animals would go with them. In a sense, there's a cleansing and a purification happening here in the symbolic sense. Does not, and any of this, by the way, anytime we do a symbolic take on the Bible in unity, we are not denying the violence of the culture at the time, nor are we judging it. Nor are we judging it. We are just simply acknowledging that is, perhaps how many of you have had seen EJ's work on the spiral dynamics and the Bible and the evolution of human consciousness through the time periods of the Bible. And this is, who was up here saying, I think all of our speakers, we do what we know, we do the best we know at a given time. We have the highest concept of God that we know to have. We do the best out of our concept of God and how the universe works at any given time. Even if we intellectually know better, wasn't there something from Charles Fillmore that said you embody it? Or somebody put it in there, or was it Sherry? It's all running together. You embody it, and that's when you really know it. That's what knowing is. Knowing is an intellectual concept. Knowing is becoming. Knowing is being. That's why in John, when that writer wrote his perspective of Jesus, and when Jesus said, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Jesus wasn't just saying, what are the 5 truth principles of unity? Repeat them back to me. Jesus was saying, you will be the embodiment of truth in your action and in your speaking. So what happens with these demons? In a sense, they are looking for a purification process, even though it destroys who they are. Now, when anything is destroyed, it never disappears. It transforms. It transforms. And this was an ancient view of life and death too. When you died, and now in ancient Hebrew, you were gone, and for a while it was just like, okay, that's it. But when something died, it transformed. Anybody remember the circle of life from The Lion King? The death of Mustafa. Was it Mustafa? Musa. Yeah. And he becomes part of the circle of life. His body becomes food to the ground, which becomes food for the next generation of animals, which becomes food for the lions again. It's all part of that great circle. Death brings life. Death brings life. Right, Joe? Oops. God did not spare the angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell. Pretty tough for New Testament, isn't it? 2 Peter 2:4. God did not spare the angels when they sinned, but cast them in hell. And basically, Peter's saying, the writer of Peter there is making this point that if God didn't spare the angels, why do you think He's going to spare you? Kind of a threatening way of looking at things. But remember, it was looked at from the best perspective of the time. So when we come in and say that's the best that is known at that time, well, look at our world today. Do we see this kind of attitude anywhere? Do we see an attitude of divisiveness, of right and wrong, of destruction of the other in one form or another? Do we see that?
Sure.
Yeah. So what does that tell us? What does that tell us? You know, we heard Sherry say we give permission to that. We are being called by these activities. We are being called by these dramas in our political system. We are being called by this challenge of violence in our societies to actually bring forth more of who we are. To be part of the great upliftment of human consciousness. And to be strong in our stand in doing so. Right, so demons traditionally in Christianity became known as fallen angels. Demons, what are they? Traditionally fallen angels. Metaphysically, and when you see LBB, that's yours truly here. Metaphysically, they are ways of thinking that at one time empowered and protected us, but are either no longer necessary or have come under the influence of the fear-based ego and need to be transformed. They are ways, every thought is energy. When you're angry, isn't that energy? You know, the idea is not to get angry at yourself for getting angry, because after all, you're supposed to be a good truth student. But the idea is to transform that energy, redirect it. Use it. Don't let it use you. Use it for positive, constructive, forward movement in what you want to see in the world. When the demon of you comes up, redirect it. What demons have you encountered of yourself, your life, and or your world? Wow. Yeah. Did we see any in the Fillmores? I wrote a paper once, the teacher will remain nameless, but I wrote a paper once about the humanity of Myrtle Fillmore and how she wept and her grief over the loss of her son, Royal, and the pain and what she went through in that. And I think it was my attitude in class that really on the paper, the instructor said, you are a militant rebel, and you won't get anywhere in this movement. Now, since then, that particular instructor and I have become very good friends. See, transforming a demon into an angel there. But how beautiful it is to see us acknowledging our divine humanity.
Yes.
We cannot fully know the Christ until we are willing to look at our Antichrist. We cannot heal what we do not bring into the light.
Yes.
That's deep.
Yes, that's true. Yes. So our next instruction is face down your demons. Demons from the revealing word, negative thoughts that have to be dealt with. Negative thoughts have to be dealt with. The demons or devils are error states of mind that have to be lifted up by Spirit. How? Well, now here is where I turned to one of my mentors, who happened to also be my biological father, who I had a great relationship with in his lifetime, and his view on guidance from the temptations of Jesus. Now, this caught my eye, on the internet, this particular image here. And, but to me, it kind of looks like Kenny Rogers arm wrestling one of the Fantastic Four over a poker game or something. But isn't this, where are these characters? Where are they? Where?
States of consciousness.
Yeah, they're states of consciousness in us. Now I'd like to see one of those illustrations where they're hugging each other. But anyway, titles for Satan. So Satan shows up in the temptations. And we know that because that's what Jesus calls him when he tells him to go away. Titles for Satan in the temptations: the devil, diabolos, that was Spanish there, diabolos, false accuser, the tempter, Pianoso, tester, and Satan. From Greek, Satanas, from Hebrew, Satan, from Aramaic, Satana, meaning accuser and adversary. Wow! So, you will have an adversarial idea to something. You will want to be adversarial, you'll have an adversarial idea or experience, and then you'll have a part of you that accuses you for messing up to have that adversarial condition to begin with. That's your Satan. It's the sum total. Satan is the sum total of all those demons. Satan is the sum total of negativity, the universal negative. The universal negative, as is called by Charles Fillmore. Paul Barrett says the devil, Satan, is the lesser self, the personal ego. Not ego. Ego is your I-ness. Your I-ness is a unique expression of God when it is surrendered and open to being that expression. But when your I-ness is worried about when your I-ness is wondering what's in it for me, personal ego, the great universal negative. Jesus, man or woman, expressing his or her divine self, divine potential. So, from Dr. Paul Barrett, we are tempted by worldly thought expressing at the ego level of mind. Good works are predicated. Our good works. When we commit to doing something, what is the first thing that comes up? When the 1,000-year cycle is done in Revelation, we're going to have to deal with the beast. When we begin anew, the numbers of 1,000 and 110 and so on. When we are at a new beginning, the first thing we have to deal with is that beast. When we get an idea on something, when you get an idea and you start pursuing it and you bump up against an obstacle, don't say, oh, the universe didn't mean for me to do this. Or it would be easier. Now you can go to your inner guidance and say, is that really what you're telling me? And if you keep bumping up against an obstacle when you're going down that path, you might want to consider another path. But when you bump up against it to begin with, say, what is in this for me to learn so that I can fulfill my vision more powerfully? Oops. Whoops. See? Speak the word. There. There we are. We We are tempted by worldly thought expressing at the ego level of mind. Good works are predicated, and they happen on holding to truth, principle, and carrying out the will of the Father God in spite of temptations of self-will. And self-will, wow, will want to recoil. There's an old story from India about a man who wanted to dig a well on his property to reach the water. And he digs 10 feet down and hits a layer of rock. And he stops. And he goes and he finds another spot. And he digs 10 feet down and hits a layer of rock. And he stops. And he does this 10 times until he's dug a total of 100 feet. His neighbor hit the layer of rock too and pulled out the rock and dug through the rock, as laborious as it was for a little while, and went down another 40 feet. 50 feet down was the water. The other man dug 100 feet with nothing. No result. Good works are predicated on holding to the truth and carrying out the will of the Father in spite of temptations of self-will. The temptations of personal will, as shared by Dr. Paul Barrett, are materialism, self-glorification, and personal power. Also watching our time there. First temptation, the deceptive thought that the soul can be satisfied with materiality. When we are afraid of not having enough, what does that generate? Not having enough, right? We can have a bunch and we still won't have enough. Deceptive thought, the soul can be satisfied with materiality. Overcoming, make not things material the object of existence. That sounds like the covenant, doesn't it? The Fillmore covenant. Without making any of these things, we know that we will have an abundance of all we need without making any of these things the object of our existence. But seek first the truth from whence all things emanate. Second temptation, the spiritual thought of using spiritual power to bring glory. Overcoming, withhold any public display of spiritual power for the sake of self-glorification. What are you there for? Third temptation, the thought that ego can be adorned with the power to rule its world. Overcoming through the power of the spoken word, deny the personal self, ego, and affirm total allegiance to the spiritual self of Christ. So, materialism, man does not live by bread alone. Self-glorification, go to the pinnacle. You shall not tempt the Lord your God. Personal power, wow, I'll give all these kingdoms to you if you bow down and worship me. Get out of here, Satan. Be gone. Get behind me, some say. Now that I like, because that's a transformation, you see. That's a transformation. You are meant to follow in my way. Overcoming materialism. Give thanks for what you have. Look within for the source of good. Follow your vision. Accept graciously the good that comes to you. I'm running through these because I'm looking at our time and I know you have them in front of you. Dedicate all that you are, overcoming self-glorification, and do to the will and the work of the Christ, as we did every Monday morning, or whatever you call the Christ. Whatever you call the Christ. Remember, whatever it is not about you. Whatever the challenge, whatever the demon looks like, it is not about you. How many of us tend to take things too personally sometimes? The way another person responds to us, or something that we, yeah. Or we think that whatever it is we do, it's all about me and me will be good and getting better. Instead of, it's about all of us. Love yourself just the way you are and just the way you are not. If you're not worried about what other people are thinking about you, you will love yourself a little more. Overcoming personal power. Be humble, make requests, fulfill our promises, ask for help. Remember, you are not alone. What are the demons in the Bible, the negativities that give rise to your concern for yourself or humanity as a whole? A jealous, vengeful God. Holy war. Inhumane action toward humans and animals. Harsh judgment, and that can be lying. We've heard lying before. Sacrifice. Harsh judgment on human behavior. Okay. Practical application for applying to biblical demons. Overcome materialism. Don't make the Bible the object of your resistance. You know how we don't make things the object of our existence? Don't make the Bible the object of your resistance. Seek the deeper spiritual meaning behind every biblical message. I.e., a jealous, vengeful God is a metaphor for the consequences of negative thought and action. Overcoming self-glorification. Choose to use the Bible as a tool for understanding humanity, your own and others, and let that understanding lead to compassionate thought and action. Overcoming personal power. Never use the Bible as a weapon of self-righteousness, even as a true student. I know what Jesus really meant.
Me too.
Use it rather as an opportunity for enlightening dialogue. And dialogue takes what? Not just speaking. Patience. Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him. There is only one presence and one power. Then the devil left him, and suddenly the demons became angels. Angels came and waited on him, transforming the demons to angels. And we close once again the angels. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you and guide you in all your ways. God bless. Any questions? Whoops. Any questions? Yes, Eleanor.
Would you talk about the demons that Jesus cleansed from Mary Magdalene? She is the only person that, at least in the scripture, that Jesus did 7 demons. And I just some comments. I love
The church has co-related them to the 7 sins, like you said.
Yeah.
You know, that's what the church has done with them.
Right.
7 means a completion.
Right.
That means everything that was demonic thinking in her was cleansed out. Does that answer it? How many times do we forgive? 7 times?
7 times.
Complete. You forgive until there is completion there, until there is wholeness. Be perfect as your Heavenly Father was perfect. The word perfect meaning whole. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Or comment. Thank you for making that connection between the transformation of the New Testament, which was many times personified like death and the integration. And you notice we have no place where Moses was buried, for instance, no grave per se. So those things that are transformed, I saw a deeper connection there listening to you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes.
I really appreciate that you're talking about how we need to own our humanity. and we have to acknowledge it. And that we transform those demonic thoughts, those negative ideas into positivity or whatever it is that we want to call it. But we have to accept who we are as human beings. And therefore, we make mistakes, we say things, and we don't have to have anybody say, where is your truth?
Yes.
We need compassion.
Yes. And the most transformational power in the universe is what created us. Love.
Yes. Yes.
Love.
I just wanted to ask a question about your alternate ministry. What is Unity Wisdom Academy?
Unity Wisdom Academy is an educational ministry. It will be online next year when my book is complete. I went online teaching this fall, otherwise it would be done by now because I'm very close to finishing the book. So in 2017, Unity Wisdom Academy will go up when my book is complete, The Language of God, Metaphysics, and the Bible. That will be the kickoff of it. But Unity Wisdom Academy will be an educational ministry that looks for how we teach truth to humanity. Not just within the unity movement. It will support, it will be supporting ministries around the world to be reaching, to have this truth reaching people everywhere. And it will do so through training, leadership training, SEE sessions, online activity, all of those things going up online. I've already been talking with people, a technical team to help out with that. So, yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, and I welcome any of you into those educational ministries to connect with me because I would love to have links. I would love us to have links into each other. You know what I'm saying? I would love us to have those links. Where people can see I can go here and check this out, and we are quantum leaping into spiritual wisdom for the planet. Is it any wonder there's so much chemicalization going on? Yes. Okay. Thank you.